All right.
Rand al'Thor was mine. He always will be mine. And he is mine, otherwise known as Lews Therin.
We will have none of that.
Hello, Adam, my old friend.
In a podcast that is so creepy.
Eric shifted to a different key.
We're gonna dive into Wheel of Time deeply. All right.
That sounded gross.
Welcome back to episode 26 of the Jack of the Shadows podcast. I'm Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite beat and rutabaga, the VC boys. Say hello, Dave.
We know I'm all about the beat.
Adam's more of the beat. You're the rutabaga.
No, I claimed it first.
Say hello, Adam.
Boy. Give me that fresh, deep beat.
Adam is
baby.
the beat
deep
generation.
beat.
In this episode, we will be covering
Tap, snap, snap, snap.
Purple Pie Men.
What, seriously?
We will be covering Purple Pie Men and Strawberry Shortcake's favorite episodes.
Baby.
That's right. In this episode, we will be covering chapters 49 through 56, the last chapters of the Dragon Reborn, the second book of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. As we are wrapping up our third book, this episode will probably be a little longer. So we will start this episode's conversation, as we often do, with View from Dragonmount, before discussing our favorite moments from this episode's readings in What Shook Your Willow. We will then bark at the moon in Of Wolf and Man, before trying to avoid some...
Bark at the moon.
So we'll do that before trying to avoid some skin abrasions and taken to the mat.
Or staph infections.
We will then carry the burden our female heroes have chosen with I Accept, before taking our melatonin and visiting in dreams. We will wrap up our discussion of these 7 chapters with Get Randy, Coplin of the Week, and Who Leveled Up. And since we're finishing a book, we will discuss the Dragon Reborn and our story to this point before concluding this episode.
Not Rand, the book itself.
That's right.
But Eric, my skin abrasions.
We have
Are you going to bring your bandages so you have them?
Bothering me. My skin abrasions.
We have a lot to cover, so let's scale this beast and get a view from Dragonmount.
Yikes.
Yeesh.
In episode 25, and because this is going to be so long, I'm going to read it in my announcer voice.
Okay.
In episode 25, we read chapters 43 through 48 and saw Perrin, Moiraine, Lan, and Zareen flee from Ilion, the Forsaken Samael who ruled it, and continue on to Tyr. Matt and Tom delivered Egwene's letter to her mother in Camelin, only to discover that the new advisor, Lord Gabriel, has put a plot in motion to have Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve murdered in Tyr.
Monster trucks.
Side note, I hate this.
So off to Tyr.
You hate the monster trucks?
Head. The 3 Accepted actually arrive in Tyr and have found lodging with a local wise woman named Alhun Gwenna, in hopes to avoid catching the attention of the Black Aja, whose trap they are hoping to spring.
Spring, sprang, sprung.
And that is our story leading into this episode. So in this episode, chapter 49 begins with Egwene traveling to the Stone of Tyr.
We're done with that segment. You can go back to your normal voice now. The announcer voice is done.
Nobody's enjoying the announcer voice. That's fine.
I wanted to kill that so long ago.
This is where our story for this episode begins. Chapter 49 begins with Egwene traveling to the Stone of Tyr in Tel'aran'rhiod and being seen by the 13 Black Sisters she suspects now know she and her friends are in Tyr.
Was it all 13?
We don't know. More or less.
Yeah.
We then return to the docks of Tyr, where Matt and Tom have just arrived in search of the 3 young women after finding lodging at the White Crescent and continue into the Tyran night despite Tom's cough in search of Komar. Matt's luck leads him to Komar,
man to the White Crescent,
who he dispatches by luck or accident in a brawl, and before dying, Komar reveals he's not alone in searching to murder the Accepted.
A crescent wrench.
Chapter 50 begins with the arrival of Moiraine and company to Tyr as well.
Or maybe it was a crescent roll.
They find lodging at the Star, and after Moiraine travels the town seeking information and Perrin puts in some practice at the adjacent smithy, everyone returns for Moiraine to announce that another Forsaken, Balal, rules Tyr as the High Lord Samon. Rather than flee this time, though, Moiraine and Lan head to the stone to make what difference they can. Chapter 51 sees the Accepted lured into a Black Aja trap by a hypnotized Julian Sandar and carted off to the stone. In chapter 52, after several days of searching and his sickening Tom, Matt takes Tom to Alhun Gwenna in hopes of remedying Tom's illness. He discovers he's just missed the capture of the 3 women for whom he has been searching, and after leaving Tom with the wise woman, heads off to try to rescue the women from the stone. Chapter 53 returns to the Star Inn, where Moiraine tells Perrin and Zareen to go to Tar Valon, where they will be safe from the results of her planned assault on Bilal. Zareen heads into the dining room, where the conversation is expected to continue, and is trapped in a dream by the hedgehog Terangriel, stolen from Tar Valon by the Black Sisters.
Wasn't that like a Nightmare on Elm Street episode? Like Dream Weaver, Dream Catcher, Porcupine Catcher?
And I'll read the rest of this in the voice of Freddy. Moiraine heads off on her mission to confront Bilal, and Perrin has Loyal guard his back while he enters the wolf dream to try to rescue Zareen. Chapter 54 begins the scene shifting between all of our protagonists that will continue through the next chapter. It begins as Matt approaches the stone and is accosted by Aiel, and meeting up with the guilty Juilin Sandar in the process. The Aiel head off to enter the stone, while Matt and Juilin enter the stone by way of a happy accident with Matt's fireworks. We then get a brief glimpse of Rand, who, guess what, is also in the Stone of Tyr.
All roads lead to Tyr.
Hey, guess what? There have been many glances of Rand.
Yes, glimpses and glances.
The location then moves to the stone's depths, where the Accepted find themselves imprisoned and still walled off from the One Power. Egwene travels to Teleranriod and traps Joya Bayer there, before we move to a different part of the dream world, where Perrin runs with Hopper in search of Zareen. Chapter 55 sees the story begin to conclude as Rand enters the heart of the stone and faces Bilal while Aiel battle around him. He seems to have finally met someone who will best him with the sword, but Moiraine quickly appears and surprises Bilal with the use of balefire as he disappears from the picture. But Baalzamon immediately appears and almost kills Rand, who is only saved by his convulsed hand grasping the Terangriel Calendar. Baalzamon then retreats through some kind of portal with Rand not far behind. We then join Egwene, who has found her way to the dream world version of the stone cells and entraps Amikol Nagoyan, who has been shielding Egwene and her companions from the One Power. She returns to the real world only to discover that they are still shielded, so back into the dream world she goes.
Those girls are not doing well.
Matt and Juilin stumble upon the entrapped Amikol, and after lifting her keys, Matt releases the Accepted from their cells. We then see Perrin free Zareen from her chained perch in the dream world, and after a crazy battle using the power in ways he's never used before, Rand defeats Baalzamon for a third time.
Maybe third time's the charm.
One can only hope. Chapter 56 concludes The Dragon Reborn with the realization that the Aiel are the prophecy's people of the dragon, Baalzamon was a Shamael, and Lanfear still has eyes for Rand. And that was our exhausting view from Dragonmount.
I feel like I
Yay.
just did a knee brace or something, and I'm climbing a mountain.
Now let's dive into a real conversation.
I don't know what a knee brace is. What does that
While
mean?
we discuss
I don't.
what shook your willow. So Adam, what shook your willow this week?
Mine's the fact that Matt discovers that his luck works best when it's random, which kind of seems like it's been happening. The evidence of it is really good so far, up to the 3-book point that we're at.
Yep.
It's just not the type of thing that you would necessarily think about.
No, of course not.
But I think what's great is that Matt comes up with this realization after, his fallen with Komar. I think it's evidence of even what took place with him when he got infected with the dagger, and the fact that he didn't die. He was lucky for that. He was lucky that he didn't die when he even came back.
I never really thought about that.
Dead when he was infected with the dagger. Everything leading up to this point is that he's lucky in these really random experiences. It's a really weird thing in that instance because he feels the room around him changing in some way.
In that one instance,
he's rolling, and that is just randomly said there. And then after that, he comes to the conclusion that his luck is best when it's random.
Yeah,
but his entire life seems random.
But you made a great point, Adam. I never once before, you mentioned it just now, thought about his surviving the dagger might have been his luck. I had just always thought about it as, happenstance of the Aes Sedai there, or just fate or the pattern wheeling it. But you're right, that could be what it is.
Stance.
Yeah.
And
also, 3 cheers for me. Mine is a very interesting topic to bring up.
Yes, it is.
Hip hip.
Hip hip for you.
Hip hip hooray!
He also recalls that he did in fact see the home that Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve were staying at.
He kicks
in a
himself in the butt
flash.
about it.
Yep. They walk right past it as they're entering from the docks, and in fact,
he's so infatuated about the fact that it smells like fish and they
Right.
wouldn't be there.
right, exactly,
Doesn't.
and he says they would never stay here. And Tom says, well, you'd be surprised what women are willing to put up with. And sure enough, they are, and there they go. And he wastes, an extra
Love
3 or
Tommy
4
boy.
days because of that. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
okay.
And Tom getting really sick.
Well done, Matt.
That's part of Matt's luck, though, is Tom getting sick.
I've enjoyed Matt this past book.
Yes,
Oh my
he's
gosh.
been much better.
So my Willow moment for the week is we've had a lot of episodes of Rand tugging at the web of time.
Or Taviran tug.
Yep, the
TT.
Yeah, exactly. We've had a lot of instances of that, and we haven't seen any in chapters and chapters and chapters, mainly because we haven't seen a lot of Rand. So in these chapters, in chapter 51, we finally get an instance of
dying.
this happening. Well, there's one particular instance where a man who is carrying fish trips over.
Right.
The fish go flying up into the air, and they all land on the ground head first in a perfect circle.
And no one seems to freak out more than they're always kind of like, huh, that's
Well,
odd.
yeah. It's especially surprising because Maynard comes in and starts singing, and everybody is like, where did this perfect circle come from?
Some people were looking at it.
Adam's not even going to pause for the
like,
sadness
wow,
of it.
that's really weird. My question is, why are you pulling up perfect circle when you're referencing Maynard? That was weak.
Right. If you're going to,
Well,
because of the
reference
perfect
in a
circle,
perfect circle.
you can't go for
There
Tool.
could have been 46 and 2 fish.
46 and
Give me
Tool
a break.
fish?
46
Yeah,
and
get
2 is
with
not
it.
a perfect circle song, though.
No. He was just going with the perfect circle because of the
Yeah,
fish.
I know.
But there were more instances, I think. There were more
No, but
instances.
that was the one I liked the best.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Okay,
it wasn't.
fine.
It wasn't.
No, it was that specific moment.
specific
it's crazy.
okay.
It's crazy they all go flying up in the air.
Yeah, that is. That's
I mean,
wonky.
Dave,
if
easy
you
come,
saw that
easy
in
go.
real life, you would freak out.
Absolutely.
Me
But
too.
but
And
no
then
one there
I would-
does.
And then maybe go and buy a ticket for the lottery.
So what I wonder is it the result of, well, it could be the result of a couple things. Is it a result of the other wonkiness that Rand has generated while he's gone on there, or is it the result of the fact that everyone is so embittered by Bilal being there that they don't care?
That's probably why they don't notice. Yeah.
There was actually reference to a couple people noticing this, which is the only thing that was ever referenced about people looking.
People being happy.
But a couple people out of what? He's in the middle of
It's
a
the
crowd.
marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's
wonder-
3 people
it's
there
not
total.
even happiness. It's just, this is different than me being extremely worried about everything that's happening.
And the dreams
like
that I'm having every night
Brief
about these 2
relief
dudes.
from the
Yeah. So my Willow moment is Lanfear is everywhere as usual. I mean, and I think we were discussing this a little bit last week about Lanfear being in dreams and the dream world being her domain. But once again, she pops up at the end of this book and delivers a letter through the first of Mayen, Berlane.
I'm the first of man.
We get the glimpse that the first is a pretty intimidating woman in her own right, and she's intimidated by Lanfear. So Lanfear gets control of this woman and has her go in and deliver this letter. She's letting everybody know, oh, in case you think you forgot about me, I'm still here. And yes, Luce Theron is still mine.
Yeah,
he was mine, and he will be mine.
She uses this woman who clearly has a bit of a Napoleonic
Complex?
How so? What do
Complex.
you even try-
Thank
why?
you.
I don't know that
Wow.
I picked that up, but
She's using confidence as a way to overcome something else. She's ridiculously defensive and
ridiculously
snooty.
good looking.
She sure seems to come in full of herself, and Lanfear control is somehow controls somebody who's like that. So that is definitely demonstration of Lanfear's ability to command, and also maybe she did something with the one power.
Yeah,
It seems that way.
And it's just, once again, she knows what's going on. She's apparently been there in Tyr. I don't think it's just the dream world. She's there, so she's, she is everywhere. She's everywhere you want to be. She's like the Visa
from
card.
Lanfear is that this woman was clearly seduced and was weak in terms of her ego getting stroked, because that's how Lanfear seems to progress. It seems
I don't know
like
if
it
it
would
was-
make sense.
Yeah.
for the position that this woman is in, that's all hoity-toity about it, and then this other lady comes across who's amazing and probably just is like, you need this glory, deliver this letter.
That's how I felt like. But think of the glory, Barrelane.
Think of the glory, and then this woman was like, yes,
the glory,
first.
Yeah.
If that's what trips Barrelane's
I'm like
Willow.
Napoleon. He liked glory.
You're bringing up this Napoleon.
So yeah, that was my moment. It was. I was torn between that and some other things, but it's just she's the first since the middle. Well, at some given point she came in the first book, but she's been popping her head up and down. You know, she's like a gopher here and there, everywhere. And
she comes in the Great Hunt. We get introduced to Selene in the Great Hunt.
Yeah, that's right. Middle of the second.
They're wandering around in this whole other world. Yeah.
A whole new world that Lanfear inhabits.
That brings us into we get a peppering of everybody these 7 chapters.
A smattering.
So let's dive into a little of Wolf and Man and talk about Perrin and sort of what's going on around him. We'll throw in the group that's with him
back to the meaning of
into this conversation.
Perrin.
So they arrive like everybody else in Tyr. And Perrin is pleased to see that there is a blacksmith next to the star, right, where they have their lodging.
They have a nice little moment there.
So he goes over and
just messed up with one character in particular,
right? Which we finally get a culmination of here. We finally get the realization of where that relationship is headed between he and Zareen.
But what does that have to?
You know where it should be headed?
Well, she follows him to the smithy.
Hey,
right, I know, but
you're a garbage person. I don't want to be around you.
I think the smith was the moment of him and the smith was far more important because it's addressing the whole hammer.
Right. Yes, it is. Absolutely. That is the main.
She's spying on him because she's creepy and she's a stalker.
But she also likes him, so she wants to hang around him.
She does. She does, and they're both sappy for each other.
Yeah, exactly. We're starting to get more development of this conflict between Perrin and using the axe versus, to be a warrior versus using the hammer to be a blacksmith.
Perrin's been dreaming about that. He's been dreaming about the axe and he's been dreaming about the hammer. Now he actually physically has a hammer and an axe. He has them both.
Yeah.
Yes, right, because he does this.
He hasn't made a choice yet, though. He's still carrying them both with him.
I love the moment in the smithy where we're watching him make this stuff and he knows what he's doing. And it's been almost 2 years since he's practiced. And he obviously impresses the blacksmith.
Dermot Ajala, yeah.
He says that you look like you were born to hold that. Like no one he's ever seen.
So we get that moment. And
then the wheels fall off the train.
We also get a lot of stuff with Moiraine and Lan here. Moiraine comes in and reveals that Belial is the High Lord Samon in Tyr. And Tyr is another one of these major cities now that has been overtaken by the Forsaken. That's going to be my new rap.
Taken over by the Forsaken.
Overtaken by the Forsaken.
Been overtaken.
Yeah.
By the Forsaken.
So...
There we are with the
as
man again.
Adam is creating this new version of rap, which is jazz.
Yeah,
it's jazz rap.
No, unfortunately, it's because I watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, and JB Smoove said something about girls that are like boopity boopity, boop. And that's what's in my head. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
We get some references to Belial and Kalendor, and now we figure out what Belial's plan is. And
what a plan it is.
And he is planning on Rand taking Kalendor to fight him, and then because he's so much better than Rand, just cutting Rand down and then getting Kalendor to do whatever with. I mean, apparently Kalendor is amazingly powerful. So Moiraine makes the suggestion to Zareen because they're talking about the web and Perrin being Ta'veren. And she says that the pattern could get torn here at this moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she means by that.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously scared. And then we get a moment where we see her panicked for the first time when the trap springs with Zareen.
She seems panicked, but Perrin doesn't smell any fear in her, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't. There's no fear scent.
But she's more concerned than we've seen her.
So hats off to Moiraine.
Is she trying to manipulate a situation there? If she actually isn't afraid, is she trying to generate fear, or is it just two different things that are senses that he's picking up on.
That's not how I read it. I mean, two really big things happen at once. She discovers that and is determined that she's going to go off and face a Forsaken, and then she's confronted with the use of this ter'angreal and the knowledge of the fact that you have these 13
the women have been
Aja
there.
who she's not planning on being there. She doesn't even know anything about that.
I like what you mentioned about Moiraine going off to fight him, and every time she mentioned it, and Lan's like, and me too,
right,
and me too.
Yeah.
Yes,
and she's in agreement this time, because the last time she went off on her own and insisted that he stay back, and they had that whole confrontation.
And then he went and followed her anyhow.
Right, yeah. And then after discovering that the Darkhounds were there, he went to inform her. So that's all we get of Perrin, because he's not there at the end, because he's been so scratched up by the Falcons and trying to rescue Zareen that he's not there in the last chapter.
Oh, Perrin.
Can I just say, Perrin and Faile's relationship just comes at us a little bit too fast.
Are we? Well, it's like they've had these hidden, contained feelings that no one's talking about. And it's like someone turns on a faucet and it just comes dumping out in your hand and scalding water, and you get burned by this.
I will say that we know what we know about relationships during
trying times.
Going back, people became betrothed at the same moment that they professed love for each other. So relationships did used to kind of just simmer below the surface and then all of a sudden bubble up into something significant.
And we did get changes.
Thank you for that.
Whatever that was.
That he should be interested in her. Other than the fact that he's like, oh wait, when she looks at me with her tilted eyes,
mm-hmm.
I just lose my wares.
Well, he goes from wondering if she's beautiful to then wondering if she's the beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's having various very obvious changes as to how he feels about her. It's just when he actually says it.
What reason is there to like this woman?
It's clear that he's your friend and you're trying to figure out why he's with her. That's obviously going on for you. And I mean, I don't get it either, but I do.
I feel like Lan should have slapped him to the ground when he was like getting all short with Moiraine and being like, shut up, Moiraine, what's going on with Faile? And meanwhile, Moraine's like, hey, dude, I'm trying to save the world, not this stupid chick that ingrated herself with the rest of us through this journey that no one wanted around. Even you in the beginning didn't even want her around.
No one likes you.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden you're all hoity-toity about it, when in the beginning you were like, please stow this woman at the bottom of the boat under a bilge pump.
Lan has no ability to say that, because guess who he's interested in, which is the other relationship that makes
he is, but he hasn't gotten all stupid about it yet.
So take it to say you'd like to see this relationship taken to the mat.
We're racking things up. We're racking them up.
We're doing that jazz rap.
We're racking and we're rapping.
We're doing that oobly ooh googly goo that you do.
That thing that you do.
All right.
Beep boop bop, do that thing.
Let's talk about Matt. We've discovered now that Matt has busted open some fireworks and dumped water on them now right away in chapter 49. Man, he is a child.
He's really curious.
He's
really curious.
You tell him not to do something and guaranteed that's the first thing he's going to do.
He has youthful exuberance.
These are the type of people that build bridges.
So Matt takes Tom to Mother Gwenna because he's getting sick.
Wait, we're there already?
We've discussed his luck already.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he has that whole fight with Comar. That's kind of a big deal. I love that whole interaction with him. It's so great. It's so fun. It's such a good moment where Comar's been fleecing everybody with his loaded dice, and Matt comes in. He flat out tells Comar, the gig's up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't harm the girls.
He rolls the dice there.
You're done for.
He takes a gamble there.
A massive gamble, and it pays out. Not probably in the way that he thought it was going to. I didn't expect that the guy was all of a sudden gonna die. But I just love that moment because it's. And the funny thing is, I picture Comar being, and I don't know why, Legree from the Magic Flute. We come back to him again. I picture him just looking like that, but apparently he was like big and muscular or something, intimidating people. Right. But that's just what I picture him greasy beard. Like that.
A lot of that moment had to do with Tom, and that might just be the luck of the fact that Matt found Tom again. But Tom is the one that instigated the entire thing by saying that these were loaded dice, and then he shows Matt exactly about this stuff.
And the innkeeper.
Do you think that would have mattered if or if Matt had diced him either way, if he had known that or not?
Well, I think it's important.
Oh no, I absolutely agree it is important. I'm just curious.
I think that he could have shown that his dice weren't the same.
It certainly would make a big. You're right. It would certainly make a big deal to show that the town guards.
So the other thing that I think is really important about this, what we've noticed from Matt up to this point, is he's impulsive. He seems to be a little bit selfish when it comes to the choices he makes, but look at what he does when he comes off the ship. Tom is telling him, hey, let's go to bed. Let's find an inn. I'm tired. Let's camp up for the night. How big of a deal is it going to be to lose a couple of hours? We've got thousands of inns to search through. And Matt says, no, I said I was going to do this. And just like he did in Camelin, when he took the Queen's letter directly to the Queen on the day that they arrived, he goes out and searches for these girls. And even though he has no hope of finding them that evening, but he's putting in the time right away.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of instances where people will talk about how lazy Matt is and how Matt is always getting people into trouble. And Matt would probably tell you that he's that way himself because he denies that this part of him exists. But he is incredibly loyal when it comes to following through on his promises.
He is. The flip side, of course, is once again, the sooner he is done with this, the sooner he can be off to do what he wants to do. And there's no denying that. He wants to be done with this because he wants to do what he wants to do.
One other thing I'm going to say about Matt is I love how he flirts with Mother Gwen. It's fantastic.
He flirts with everybody, man.
Because you're the only woman who could do that in terms of bringing him to not wear muddy boots in the house.
I like Mother Gwen.
Matt fancies himself a charmer.
Matt's personality is coming out here. He's like, if I'm going to save these girls, I'm going to want to kiss from every one of them, including Nynaeve.
Yeah.
I'm just on board with Matt. He's been annoying for a long time, and it's been enjoyable. So.
Yes, he is a bit of a charmer and a snake oil salesman all at the same time.
So Matt leaves Tom there with Mother Gwenna and tells him, I've enjoyed knowing you.
I love Tom. Tom's like, don't leave me here with this old hag.
What is it? What's going on there? What does he mean? I've enjoyed knowing you.
He could go off to die.
He thought he would die, or him. It's either Matt or him that he thought was going to die.
I think also he knows his next stop is the world unknown. He's planning on probably not seeing a heck of a lot of any of these people ever again. He thinks
there is that, but we also know Matt is also one with a flippant comment too. Well, Tom, it's been good knowing you.
Yeah, but I think Matt would have wanted to travel with Tom again.
Sure.
I think that he said that because he thought that he was going to die or Tom was going to die.
I
don't think he thinks Tom is going to die. He's leaving him in good hands.
This Gwenna character?
This Gwenna character that we know already.
She seems to be pretty confident that she's going to be able to heal
She's
him.
good people's.
I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be all right.
It's just tuberculosis, Adam.
He just wants to get rid of him also. I mean, he doesn't want to have Tom around.
He's going to be all right. Really? That's how you feel about it? I disagree with that entirely.
He
likes Tom's.
No. It's not that he doesn't want to get rid of Tom because he doesn't like him.
Because he's going to slow him down.
Yeah, he's going to slow him down, and I don't think he quite knows what he's going to do, and it's much easier if you're improvising to do it by yourself than to have somebody else.
I love the next moment we see him. He's on the roofs of Tyr.
Before we get there, we hit Matt's motto. He says, "But when was I ever sensible? The only people I ever met who were sensible all of the time were so boring that watching them could put you to sleep." I think that's Matt's motto. I have no interest in being sensible. I want to live an exciting and crazy life.
And yet he's loyal. He's
incredibly loyal, but I don't think that conflicts with not. Yeah. Though you're right, it does conflict a little bit with not being sensible. You're right. Yep. So he climbs up to the stone and plans on using the fireworks to create a diversion. Apparently, nobody understands combustion in this world.
Well, these aren't scientists.
Nope.
It's not a land of much science.
No.
It's a land of magic.
Right.
You know who does understand them?
Aludra.
He's learning how to.
Right. I mean, so far he's dumped water on fireworks and he's seen gunpowder. I don't know that he's figured anything out about any of it.
He now knows if you clump them together and light them on fire, kaboom.
He's been throwing him in fire. He's been putting him in water. This is what I was saying last week, is that he's a very curious boy. And I like him.
He is, but I think once again, it's more a product of his luck that these things happen.
Yeah, probably.
He's an engineer.
I thought you said he was an Imagineer.
He's working for Disney.
Matt with mouse ears.
He's Figment.
Top dollar.
Yeah, so he goes and takes this bundle of fireworks and puts it into an arrow slit.
But before that, there's that great moment with moment with the Aiel.
Yeah.
I love that. And Sandar pops up.
Sandar
and then the Aiel pops up behind Sandar.
Yeah.
There's like the Aiel, then Matt, then the Aiel, then Sandar, then the Aiel again.
Right.
It's this crazy sequence of events. It's like, when you pull up the doll thing, those Russian dolls, and there's one inside after another, after another, after another.
Yep.
I think it was a great moment.
There's definitely a nesting doll situation going on.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And then, then of course, he of course is flirting. What you talk about flirting with Gwenna, he's flirting with the Aiel girl. He's trying to give her the charming smile, and she's not having it. No, I don't think it is Avienda. It's somebody else. Because otherwise, I'm fairly certain if it was Avienda, they would have mentioned her name.
Well, they mentioned Bane and Chiad. So
yeah,
this is
on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
No, they also mentioned Gaul. Gaul's up there also. So all the maids and gents are up there on the roof, and they're apparently everywhere.
At least the ones we know, it seems.
Right. I like how Lan had detected them earlier, too, skulking about.
Lan and Julian. Julian also had noticed them on the rooftops.
He thought they were thieves.
He thought trouble was a-coming. So Matt meets the Aiel for the second time.
Yeah, the second time.
After he ran into them near...
That one guy.
Near the... it's the spine of the world.
Spine? Yeah.
So
and then he pulls the girl's biscuits out of the oven.
Yeah, so let's talk about the accepted. Let's do a little I accept here. They're holed up with...
This is a good tie into that.
With Mother Gwenna. And...
They get the tar beaten out of them.
Wait, can I just say something here from the get-go? The travels of Jay and Farstrider shows up again.
It's apparently important.
You are obsessed.
I know, but it's so lame. So
the book within a book.
I want to read this book.
Okay. It's Jayin. All I'm saying is that it's mentioned again, and I think it's funny.
It's kind of like in Seinfeld, how there's always a Superman reference in every episode. In every book, we're going to have a Jayin Farstrider appearance.
Adam has checked out Jayin Farstrider and has failed to return it to the library.
Did Dave?
Bookman is going to be coming after him shortly.
Did you just say Seinfeld?
I don't think so.
Nope.
That's what I heard.
So they've hired Julian. They're hanging out very, very briefly, it seems like, with Mother Gwenna.
Enjoying their tea.
I mean, they're just waiting. They're just waiting on Sandar to find a way in. But they're also
shopping
kind
for
of
expensive
wandering,
meat.
Right? They're wandering around, exactly, spending their money, and then Julian leads them into a trap.
A trap.
Which I kind of felt like I saw coming. That when he comes to Nynaeve and is like, "Hey, I found them."
He's a little weird.
It just seems like, wow, he found him really fast, and there was no trouble whatsoever.
Well, we don't know how much time passed there.
Well, it's 3 or 4 days. It's
That's
no
not
more than
fast.
that. I mean, it probably didn't seem fast to them. It seems fast to
like
us.
an eternity then.
And like no problems at all. These incredibly conniving women, like no trouble.
Well, he didn't say he was leading them to them. He was just taking them
No, he said
back.
he found them. They're in the stone.
Right,
with
but he
High
wasn't
Lord
taking
Samon.
her to the stone. He was taking them back to the inn.
Right.
So what were they going to do back at the inn? I guess all grouped together, make
Figure
a plan.
out, what they're going to do, because they said all they wanted him to do is find them. They said he wasn't to do anything.
I was not expecting them to be waiting at Mother Gwenna's place.
No, that caught me by surprise.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's both of them. And we get 2 different experiences of what it would be like to be involved with Dark Friends. There's Mother Gwenna's experience. Mother Gwenna abandons them, and so does the thief catcher.
I think abandon's a kind of harsh word.
Yeah, it's interesting that you feel like they were.
It's not a harsh word. But the interesting thing is when Mother Gwenna encounters Matt and how she deals with it compared to, they're both brave. This is a whole other conversation, because the thief catcher says that he met this blonde woman and there's no way that he could have resisted her.
Yeah, she obviously did something to him.
The power on him.
It seems like she did the same thing to him that was done to Bearlane.
How on earth could you resist that?
I don't think you could.
You can't.
You couldn't. Yeah, so there's no reason to feel...
Sure there is. It's just human nature.
Well,
he's got to...
Because you're better, because you're better and you can wield the power. So
no, I think he's just got a conflicting emotion because he doesn't know what was done to him. So he doesn't know if it was his own willpower that betrayed him or if it was what it was. So he's got this conflicting viewpoint, because it's what you don't understand is often the most fearful thing. So And that's kind of like, I know I betrayed them, but I couldn't help it. But I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help it.
No. I understand his viewpoint. I'm wondering about theirs.
Like, if
Not
are they?
only that,
Yeah, they
but
seem a little. They seem a little.
That's anyone that actually has the power that they could try to fight against this or be aware of what it actually means.
Yeah, they seem a little ticked at Sandar when he shows up, and gets to a point, rightfully so, because it was his actions, right or wrong, that got the snot beaten out of them. But I don't think they quite understand also what happened.
No,
to
they
them.
have no idea. They've never experienced this before.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about because that's going to be a lot of people that would just be influenced by Dark Friends really easily because you're not used to that. You're not used to dealing with the power.
It semes like something that she's doing and not necessarily everybody else is doing.
That many do. It's anyone that they run across because they're able to do that to the, I don't know what you call it. No, but for real, like a person that has never dealt with that before, and they're going to push you over. They're going to make you do things you don't want to do.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like an incredibly powerful ability.
Even though Sandar has some super good abilities,
which he brings to bear. Mother Gwen is helpless in another way. She's trapped in that room with a bunch of people who have imprisoned her or have the ability to imprison her in a column of air. And the Accepted recognize that. They don't bear a grudge against her for not doing anything. All she would have done in that situation is die. That's the only thing she would have ended up doing.
So then they're trapped. They're captured. They're beat. Gwen apparently is beaten the worst out of all of them. She's unconscious and
she would be fighting the hardest.
Right.
She was.
Because she knows what it's like to be out of any of them.
She's terrified of being caged.
Yeah.
Terrified of being entrapped.
Or leashed or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So the rest of what we experienced through them, I think, is best talked about in dreams. We do get some other people who are dreaming also. There's a lot of dreaming going on in these 7 chapters. So chapter 49.
Yeah, Perrin's whole thing is...
The innkeeper of the Golden Cup tells Matt that he has dreams with Rand in them. So you got people dreaming about Rand.
Rand and Bilal.
In chapter 49, Matt is starting to have dreams now. He thinks it's because of all his worrying, but he dreams that Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine and some fellow with close cropped white hair wearing a coat with puffy striped sleeves like Comar's laughing and weaving a net around them. Only sometimes it was Moiraine he was weaving the net for, and sometimes he held a crystal sword. So Matt's jumping into the dreaming picture here now. That's mostly because the city of Bilal is dreaming into everyone's dreams.
I think everyone in the city, though.
Yep. Yes, they are.
Do you think that Egwene is really annoying now because of the influence of that? Or is it just her being annoying on her own?
I think it's a power struggle between her and Nynaeve.
I think the annoying mantle drops once she wakes up in the prison. Then she's taken care of business.
Yeah, and she and Nynaeve seem, at least for that moment, to kind of get along. Remember, she asks Nynaeve to sing that song to her that she was been so annoyed by before because she felt like she was being treated like a child to help sing her back into the dream world.
And then Nynaeve smacks that woman. I love it. I love these moments when these women ball up their fists and just jack someone.
It's interesting that Elaine or Egwene has figured out how to sort of use the dream world and how and the ways in which the dream world and their world are linked. She's sort of learning it as she goes through these chapters.
She's got to figure out how she still has to walk through the Stone of Tyr to get down to this cell rather than be able to jump there, kind of like Perrin can do, it seems. Mm-hmm. But she's definitely gaining skill and experience in there the more often that she's in there, and she does some pretty major things in there in this.
The most interesting part about this is, to me, is what we learn about the dream world, because 3 people are in it simultaneously for the first time. So we know now that these 3 different things that we thought were separate, the Wolf Dream, Tel'aran'rhiod, and some of those other dimensions, all are linked.
Linked, yes. I was about to say they're not the same. Well, they're linked.
Perrin sees Rand chasing Baalzamon, and Egwene hears Perrin smash open the final crystal door, the final door that Faile is trapped in. Mm-hmm. So they all share some kind of space in some way, shape, or form, which we definitely didn't know, and we had been questioning up to this point.
Either that or things bleed through, but I'm not sure which it is because we know.
But those things didn't bleed into the real world.
No, but we know the wolf dream, for example, occupies outside a different space than Tel'aran'rhiod does.
But Ba'alzamon and Rand traveled through it.
I don't know if there's bleed throughout. I don't know what it is.
We do know there's bleed throughout various worlds because multiple people have had cuts on their face. From Perrin has in the wolf world, Rand has in the dream world.
Well, right. That's why Egwene knows that there are some things that she can do in the dream world that are going to affect the physical world.
Right. I just meant like the wolf dream bleeding through into Tel'aran'rhiod, which is bleeding through into the normal dreaming world.
Yeah, them possibly sharing even some aspects of temporal space, like that traveling that Ba'alzamon does where Rand chases him seems like they're essentially sort of folding space-time, but in doing so, they're traveling through, if they're traveling through dimensions, they're using that wolf dream apparently to do it because because Perrin sees Rand travel through while he's chasing Ba'alzamon.
Yeah.
Through all sorts of space and time.
Yeah.
So that might have been just one of the worlds that they were traveling through.
Right, yeah.
But they do travel through that wolf dream, even though Rand doesn't seem to have the ability to wolf dream.
No, he's just going through time and space. Like he's doing whatever it is he's doing is the same thing that Balal is doing, whatever that is.
So do you feel that that's happening anytime that they see him? Everyone seems to be seeing Rand in a dark and like a long hallway in this past 8 chapters that we read. Is that because he's in a different like string theory universe that's happening at the same time?
I don't think so. I think he's there. They see him.
I just don't know.
Okay, well, you're talking about the same thing, though.
I'm talking about the dream worlds. I'm not talking about the physical world.
I think that
I know that, but I'm saying that why would one exist outside of the other? I don't know if it necessarily does.
I think they do because I think the dream world, let's just say the normal space where people have nightmares and where they have dreams, the normal dream world that the peasants in the town have, where they're seeing Rand and Balal. I don't think that's Tel'aran'rhiod. I think that's just like a dream world. Then we've got Tel'aran'rhiod, which is what we've seen Egwene maneuvering through most of the time. Then we've got the wolf dream, which is what Perrin is operating in. They seem to share similarities, and that's why I was talking about the bleed over. There seems to be some things that are similar, but there's some things that are very dissimilar about them also. Hopper talks about
like
in this
what?
dream
I
world.
feel like they're all the same.
I don't think they are, because Hopper talks about in the dream world about only certain people come in there and only certain things can come in there. Whereas in the actual dream world, everyone's in and out of there.
I think there's arguments on both sides. I think Adam has a point because we've seen Egwene see Hopper and Perrin.
Right, but are they in Tel'aran'rhiod as opposed to being in the wolf dream? That we don't know.
That would be the argument for the fact that they're the same thing and that there is no difference.
No, my argument would be that if they're not the same thing.
I know, that's what you're saying. Yeah. But I'm saying that would be that would be a point in the column of Adam's argument, is the fact that we've seen moments where they have shared the same space. So is that simply a temporary overlap? Or is that a permanent thing and Tel'aran'rhiod actually is the wolf dream?
But we've never seen an instance of anyone else being in the wolf dream.
Remember, Perrin has traveled to what we imagined was Stakhan Dar in the Wolf Dream and that castle, and he saw people there. He saw people flash in and out and get eaten by that goo that was dropping down from the ceiling. So he's seen people in the Wolf Dream.
And I think that's...
I thought he saw Ba'alzamon in his Wolf Dream.
And that's the question. Is that the wolf dream or is that Tel'aran'rhiod? Which...
Dave, you're bringing up an interesting topic that it might be something else, but I think the evidence that we're presented with, I feel like it's all the same thing.
I feel like we don't know.
I feel like we don't.
I think you both have very good points, and that's why I'm still trying to figure it out. What we know for certain is that they do overlap in some way sometimes, at the very least. But there is also an open possibility. I agree with you, Adam. At this point, it could be that they are the same thing also. So
I agree. I agree that it could be. I don't feel like it is, but I agree with the evidence that we're given. Yeah, I could see why you would think that.
That's something to, that's something that I'm definitely keeping my eye out for. I was really surprised when Perrin caught that glimpse of Rand chasing Ba'alzamon.
I was really surprised that Egwene heard the bong of the door that Perrin was smacking.
I agree they all could be the same thing as well.
Let's talk a little bit more about Rand. That's where all of this is reading to.
Can we
leadership.
talk
It's where
about how
all of this
little
is
Rand-
leading to.
Can we talk about how little Rand there is in this book in
So
general?
can we acknowledge
not much.
that the book should be entitled The Gambler Reborn and not The Dragon Reborn?
Or the
'Cause
wolf,
yeah.
the wolf reborn.
This is Matt's story more than it is anyone else's, isn't it? Except for maybe Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve.
Maybe Perrin
And the
and
funniest
Faile.
part is we started this off thinking it was Perrin's book.
I
We
think you
did.
see equally. I
And it
think you
is-
see equally as much of Perrin as you see of Matt.
And
No,
you know what? We may
Matt
see.
closes it out so strongly.
Well, Matt's you.
Matt believes in himself.
You like
Matt
Matt
is
throughout
a-
this book far more because he's not.
Perrin.
Well, it isn't just that he isn't Perrin. He isn't dealing with the same sort of situation of falling in love with
No,
somebody.
right. Yeah, he's not dealing with that.
Yeah, Perrin's ever fallen in love. Whatever. Matt is the one that has actually fallen in love with his abilities, which is a nice thing. Perrin doesn't.
Very good point.
Yeah,
Very good
it's,
point.
It's far
I don't wanna
far
involve
easier,
the
Adam,
wolves.
to accept the fact that you're lucky than accept the fact that you hear wolves in your head.
That's true. Matt does have.
I don't know why that's true.
Matt has a hard time accepting his luck the very first time around too. He's terrified by it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's freaky, but then he's like, "Hey, this works in my favor.
Yeah.
No,
Game
no,
on."
way more.
Matt seems
Whatever.
more likable than Perrin does to me.
He does, but I mean, let's be realistic from a psychological standpoint.
I get it. It would be.
I mean-
I would not enjoy the idea that I'm like some sort of wolf man. Though I would try to figure out a way to make it really cool.
Right, Perrin's just stuck
I'd
in
be
his
Teen
own
Wolf.
misery.
I'd be at the high school
that's
dance,
awesome. Eric's
howling
going
in
out
front
the-
of the band.
They're shooting hoops, just driving from the free
Right,
throw
with his-
line,
with his high tops.
jamming on
Yeah.
people. He's done. Guess what? Perrin has also sucked in the other two.
Oh,
Matt
we
was
liked
just
Perrin at some points.
comatose.
We liked Perrin at some points. We thought he was finally getting.
Yeah.
No, we did. Perrin was getting his stuff together till the annoying Faile showed up.
Our bigger issue with Perrin is
Exactly.
unfortunately Zareen Faile Mandarb.
The horse girl.
We named the dog Indiana.
Right, exactly. The dog's name was indeed.
Like you mentioned, Adam, everybody is seeing Rand everywhere. Right away in chapter 49, Matt stares blearily up the street at a tall man in a cloak hurrying around a corner.
That
And it
can't
seems
be
like
Rand.
Rand is always hurrying around a corner. Nynaeve, 2 chapters later from the corner of her eye, thought she glimpsed a tall man with reddish hair in a swirling brown cloak well
can't
down
be
the
Rand.
sunlit street. But as she turned to peer from under the wide brim of her blue straw hat, he was gone. Chapter 54, Matt sees a lone man scaling the Stone of Tyr.
So those two people didn't know that Rand was going to Tyr. The girls didn't know it, and Matt didn't know it. The ones that did are the ones that never see him.
Can't see him anywhere. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
He's Santa Claus. he only appears if you don't know he's there.
Yeah. It's like the tree falling in
that's
the
a very
forest that
good
no one
point.
hears.
Yeah. It's like a boiling kettle. If you're watching it, it won't boil.
Yeah.
And then chapter 54, Matt sees Rand in the stone itself. And then Rand hears Matt's fireworks go off below him. So I thought this was interesting because I thought that Matt was near the top of the tier, but apparently
somewhere in the middle.
Rand climbed up even higher to get in and is working his way down.
No mean feat, that. I mean, good grief. Him and the Aiel scaling it up.
Yeah, the
And it's-
Aiel climb up also.
Well, as we know, Rand is part Aiel,
right.
so
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can be
stone doesn't fall far.
inborn with the ability to scale tall buildings in a single bound.
Maybe.
So this was something interesting. I brought up last book. Remember when Rand was fighting Balsamon? Remember that one time
Yeah. Not like it's happened every book.
at the end of the Dragon
I think
Reborn
that was only one time that happened.
in Bandcamp? Rand is fighting Balsamon, and he gets this weird look on him. And I postulated at the end of the last book that it was because he was in the Flame of the Void, experiencing the oneness. But he gets the same weird grin on his face here in this book. So I'm wondering if it's just the way that he approaches deadly situations is he gets a weird grin on his face.
Maybe. Yeah. The only other thing is that he's going slightly cuckoo.
We're not all Matt. We don't all believe he's going crazy.
We're all mad down here.
I mean, because he had it at the end of book 2, right? So he has it here in this book at the same time, right, when he goes to approach Balsamon. So maybe he's just allergic to Balsamon.
Right.
He's got a Balsamon allergy.
He can't deal with Balsamon.
No. Great Balsamon of fire.
Right. Then it's game on with Bilal.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be afraid of Bilal at all. This is the first time where we
Yeah.
see him sort of face somebody and he's just ready.
Has Bilal been popping into Rand's dreams? well, whether he appears or whether he doesn't, he's ready for the fight because I think he anticipates that there's going to be a fight there.
He's got to believe there's one, right?
Yeah. So he knows he's being chased by people, so he has to think either way he's going to take it, they're going to show up. But here was an interesting thing. You mentioned about Bilal wanting Rand to take the sword to then overpower him in his sword fighting. I will postulate to you two this. There was the girl in the stone hidden in Tel Anriad, the Black Aja person that they found and incapacitated.
Who's they? They who?
Egwene. Egwene incapacitated that person in the stone.
That Matt and Julian found, guarding the accepted prison cell.
No. In the stone, Egwene goes in there and finds a Black Aja person, the first one, not the second one guarding the gate, the
Joya,
first one.
you're talking about Joya Bair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Knocks her out.
And traps her in air and
traps
leaves
her in air. I think she was waiting there for Rand. I think she was waiting to spring some sort of trap, and Bilal was waiting for Rand to take the sword, and she was going to spring some sort of trap. Because why else is she there? She's there for a reason.
She could be there, remember, because they know that Egwene is there now and traveling through.
I think she was there for Rand. I think she was there to do something for Rand.
To believe she wasn't. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, so Bilal's waiting. Take the stupid sword. Take the stupid swords. Take the stupid sword. He doesn't, and then he has to do some sort of other action. I feel like he was waiting for Rand to take the sword, and then the further trap is the actual trap is going to get sprung because there was no trap.
We do know that Bilal is a really good swordsman, so it's also possible he's just trusting to.
He just wants to,
because he also makes several remarks that Rand is not ready.
And I think he's talking about Rand's power abilities not ready. Yeah,
and it seems like Rand can't actually wield the sword as he should, but he just is fortunate enough to be the Dragon Reborn and grab.
Well, it's like he's got Matt's
sword.
luck.
Well, yeah,
maybe Matt's luck
like
is rubbing
that,
off on him by proxy because Matt's in the stone.
But Rand, Kafirin.
So he doesn't grab Kalendor. He leaves Kalendor there, which is very good for him, and he just fights with his own power created sword. And Bilal is really good. He's even a better swordsman than Turok.
Yeah,
and is going to beat Rand.
Seems so.
And then Moiraine comes in like a Deus Ex Machina and just balefires him out of there.
Love that moment. He's like, no.
It just seems like they keep getting in these situations, Moiraine and Lan specifically, that they're just like, oh, we can't deal with this. She was very scared of Samael. She was very scared of these mofos that were forsaken. And then she just goes in there and wipes the floors with them.
Well, she did specifically say about catching him off guard. And that's what she had to have done happen in order to beat Bilal. He was not anticipating her knowing Balefire to be able to use Balefire against him. And that's the one thing that he couldn't fight.
Or wasn't prepared to fight, I think. Because Rand fights
other people are also doing Balefire.
Only with Kalendor.
That's true, yeah. Rand fights it off with possibly the most powerful Terangrial, or at least one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. So then, we can't have an end of a book without Baalzamon. So It appears that despite what we thought at the end of book 2, Rand has always had questions as to whether or not he was
None of us thought that.
He was the dragon.
None of us thought that, by the way.
Yeah, Rand's still postulating about being the dragon.
Rand is still
he's a parent in that way.
He's the dragon. Even though he has allowed Moiraine to wave the dragon banner.
Well, he's going to blame that everybody
else. And has proclaimed himself the dragon.
Oh, I just let them do that to me. It wasn't.
He did. I mean, that's what he tells himself. By the way. Yeah, right. That's what he tells himself.
From the beginning of this book, he proclaimed himself the dragon.
Right. But no, he still needs this. He still needs this Kalendor to prove to himself that he is in fact the dragon.
Do we believe he's going to believe it yet?
Right. There's no reason to. I mean, he's been presented with enough logic up to this point to be able to think that he is the guy.
And now he's got the people of the dragon following him.
And right, I gotta believe at this point that he's gonna gotta know. Right. Right. Exactly. So then we get this epic. Very quick battle of powers where the air is becoming fire and then water and then mist and then there's no air at all and then it's total blackness and then there's no ground underneath them and then there's ground and they're traveling through time and space and it's just
they're caught.
It's just an endless litany of the most amazing use of the power that, like, reading this, I'm like, there's no Aes Sedai that can do this.
Thank goodness he's got Kalendor, otherwise he'd been screwed.
And he's doing So you think that he's able to do all this stuff because he has Kalendor in the same way that he was able to do stuff at the end of the Eye of the World because he was using the well of the Eye of the World?
There's no question it's enhanced his power. I mean, he would have been struck by Balefire if not for Kalendor. So there's part of that. I don't think him running through and doing all that crazy stuff is that. I think part of it's Kalendor to be able to have the amount of power to do that, and part of it is Rand just learning on the fly as he seems to do.
There is this statement in the book, dimly within him, fluttering like a candle flame in a storm, was the surety that holding Kalendor, he could do anything. Anything.
The interesting also is we know he is the dragon reborn, which is Luz Theron reborn. Mm-hmm. How much of this is ingrained knowledge that he doesn't like? Because he's doing stuff, he has no idea what he's doing, but does he know what he's doing? Some part of him knows what he's doing.
Because we've seen, maybe he could also just be like Egwene and Elaine and Nynaeve and just learning stuff and doing it and just doing it.
Yeah.
But he's doing
a whole lot.
The stuff he's doing is well beyond anything we've seen them do. I mean, weaving into a metal lock and springing it versus, making matter appear from nothing. It seems to me to
or
be
dissolving the stuff that's coming at you. Yeah, it's crazy, crazy power.
So the end comes, Rand shouts, "You are destroyed!" And then he severs those black.
You know why I don't believe that?
I can't imagine why.
I maybe this time I almost do. Maybe it's because now we've finally got a body left behind.
Right, yeah. We've got a dead body, which we haven't had before.
No, we have some physical
habeas
evidence.
Corpus.
Yes.
So he severs those giant black tendrils that he's done before. He's done this before to Ba'alzamon. And he says, "You are undone." And
it is finished.
And then Ba'alzamon screams, "Fool, the great Lord of the Dark can never be defeated." And this is why he thinks that this is Shayatan, is because Ba'alzamon keeps making statements like this.
Right. Well, until, the man behind the curtain is revealed, so to speak.
Yeah. So Rand is like, dancing like the fiddler on the roof here, like, I killed Shayatan
in every book. And guess what? He's come back battle every time.
Right. I am the Dragon Reborn. I can say that now because I think it's all over. I think I've just staved off Armageddon.
It works in my favor.
Right. Yay! All right.
This has happened twice before.
Right. Exactly.
Rand is not a student of history. His own history.
So Rand thinks it's done. As we learn from the last chapter, nothing is done.
Nothing is over.
We do learn that it's not his Emmons Fielders and Moiraine and Lan who are the children of the dragon. It's these Aiel, these strange warlike people that have existed on the periphery and now have come to take part in this story.
What a great reveal. What a great reveal, him pulling up the sleeves of his coat and showing off the dragon tattoo.
And he doesn't actually say that they're the children of the dragon. It's up to Moiraine to finish his sentence because he's so uncomfortable. It obviously is some taboo for them.
It's a big deal.
That we discover that there is that they're here and they are the people of the dragon. So
big moment.
Let's dive into This Is the End, where we talk about what we've learned from this book and, where we're coming from and
the book,
a little bit of where we're going to. So the big reveal here, we finally get some conclusion as to who the heck is Ba'alzamon. And actually it comes from Egwene. Rand is doing the Rand thing. And
she's got the most evidence of anybody, yeah.
Well, which is not much. But Moiraine fills in some of
the... Different than some speculation, yeah.
So Rand is doing the Rand thing and shouting Shayatan's name on the rooftops, and crazy stuff still happens after that. He writes it off to being a little bit woozy or whatever, but...
it's just like it happened the other times when he did it.
Yeah. But we get some confirmation. We have a body for the first time, right? We've never had a body before.
No.
It's a man. It's not a, it's not a...
and it's a man of this age.
Celestial being.
Right, yeah.
So all this stuff a lot, goes to this actually being...
Whoever that was is dead.
A Shamiel is the suggestion that Egwene makes.
Yeah, it's a cool thing about The man with two faces or whatever.
The name behind the name.
Behind the name, yeah.
And we've had a suggestion up to this point that the name Baalzamon was the betrayer
you keep
of
using
hope.
that name. I do not think it means what you think it means.
And that somehow it seems like in history, the name Baalzamon, because he was so powerful, and the name of the Dark One somehow merged in the common people's minds, and that's why they think of him that way. There's even the suggestion here that maybe he was never imprisoned.
Right. So when he had that confrontation with Luz Theron on Dragonmount, he was never sealed into the bore.
Right.
He might have just been running around.
He might have been around all the time. Who knows? He could have been responsible for the Trolloc Wars and
all sorts of mayhem.
All kinds of evil that's been going on over these thousands of years. But he would have been alone by himself.
Well, he's strong enough.
Not anymore.
For all we know. The next book could start out with another scene with Baalzamon again.
We could begin the next book with more Baalzamon.
But he'd need a new body if that was the case.
Well, very well could happen. I just feel like he's tiptoeing through the tulips.
Well,
now
he has
he's
been
tiptoeing without a body.
One of the tulips turned out to be the creature from Little Shop of Horrors. One of the tulips turned out to be the flower from Little Shop of Horrors and ate him. So we learned that the Aiel are the children of the dragon. Okay. We now have 4 of the 7 seals that are the focal points for the seals of the Dark One, and only one of them is intact. So what was your favorite moment of this book?
Mine?
Yeah.
I have mine.
It's clear. It's clear. Adams is those two falling in love.
Teleron-Riod?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
You just loved everything in Teleron-Riod?
No, my favorite moment is the fact that this is a world that's being more explored that you can travel through.
A dream within a dream.
It is an awesome element.
And Egwene is going through it deeper, and then other people are too. And I feel like it is. We discussed this earlier. I feel like it's all the same world. I could be wrong. But
you could be right, though. I mean,
you could be right. You could be crazy. You could just be a lunatic.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to side with you, Adam. I think that it feels to me like they might be the same. My favorite moment is Matt's Wild Night, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, where that gambling night where he cannot lose, and he's both thrilled by it. Cool. He's in a gold frenzy and yet terrified at the same time.
Gold.
And
that's great.
He acquires massive wealth that evening, which is now he's running low on. He's down to
out.
just silver.
He's gone. He spent all his gold. It's all gone.
Right. He's got silver left still.
Yeah.
And he's got a little bit of gold, but not much. Right. Silver. That was just so much fun to read. Can you imagine being at the casino and somebody at the craps table and just winning for
going on a tear
an entire day?
Yeah.
They would never let that happen.
The casino would shut that person down.
They would never let
They'd buy him dinner. They'd stick him up in a hotel room.
Right.
They'd turn down the air conditioning and turn up the oxygen level.
Ply him with booze until he or she passed out.
Exactly.
So
if that didn't work, they'd send in the girls.
That was my favorite moment. You got a favorite moment, Dave?
I do. It involves Matt also. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire series thus far. It's Matt with Galad and Gawain in the fight.
Yes!
And when he one-ups them with his sickly dying self and he battles them with the quarterstaff, and HuHAH, of course, praises his ability and the fact that the greatest swordsman in the world lost to a country lad who did the same sort of thing. I just love that moment. Such a great moment. They're so sure of themselves. And
it seems like so long ago that
it
happened.
Does. It seems like forever ago. And
then one day it's gone.
I had to check to see that was in this book. I had to look. I'm like, I feel like that was last book because it seems like eons ago.
If you were going to rewrite anything from this book, Adam, I can guess what you would rewrite.
Or he would just write it out.
What would it be? What do you think it would be?
I don't know. The love story between Perrin and Faile?
Or just, no, not at all.
Oh, no. Okay.
Tell us what it is. Do tell. He's going to tell. He's going to tell.
He's going to tell.
What I would have done different, it was included way more of Min.
I could have used more Min, too. We'll write in a segment for, hopefully Min appears in the next book, and we'll have a new segment called Minty.
Well, I don't think we will, because she keeps being
Is that
presented as this
men
person
drinking
that knows
tea?
a lot of stuff, and then just disappears.
Well, a lot, but Adam,
That's
if
what
you've
she
not
does,
noticed,
though.
a lot of people do that. Bail
I
Dolman,
don't
where's
like
he
it.
gone?
I like Min, and I feel like she should be around more. That's my biggest thing I would have done differently.
Bail Dolman,
I agree, but
Aludra, these people keep popping in and out.
Min seems to pop in and out more than anybody else, and she pops in and gives these prophecies and then pops out.
Well, isn't she stuck in the White Tower? I think she's in the White Tower.
She is.
She went and delivered.
She
She went and
is.
delivered the message to the White Tower.
She
And
is in
she's
the
still
White
there.
Tower.
Okay.
She's stuck in the White Tower. That's
Yeah.
where she is.
She's stuck with Swan there.
Okay.
That seems like a way wrong place to be. Anyhow, that's what I would
Especially for Min, who's not an Aes Sedai or training to be one.
No, but at least she's used to being
Who
around
knows
Moraine.
what she is?
I don't know that she's. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by used
She
to. I don't know
traveled
that she
back
spends
with her all that way.
Right. She doesn't seem to have spent too much more time than the Emmons Fielders have with Moraine. Just maybe a couple of days more
Well, but
in Berlon.
Yeah.
but in Berlon, but we don't know how often Moraine had been coming to and from Berlon consulting her services.
It felt to me like that time that Moraine went through Berlon was the first time that they had run into each other.
Oh no! She distinctly says that she's
No. I'm referring to the time that she refers to, which is before she runs
that
into her
one
with the
trip
Emmons
before?
Fielder. Yes,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's the way it felt to me. That's just conjecture.
Yeah.
There's nothing to back that up. I would rewrite more of Rand. Hey, it's called The Dragon Reborn. Why don't we see him a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know, what's he doing? Is he aware of all this chaos going on around him? Maybe not, but we could see a little bit more of the chaos. And obviously he's had dark hounds on his trail. People have been chasing him. I got to believe that there have been more dark friends.
Dark friends, yeah.
So, yeah, I would like a little bit more of Rand in a book entitled The Dragon Reborn.
Yeah. Mine, Bilal. It's just so, he's such an afterthought.
He dies so fast.
He dies
so fast.
He dies a mighty quick for a Forsaken. He dies faster than Agenor.
He does. He seems like
But anyone Moraine kills,
but not as fast as Balthamel. He's there and then he's gone, and people are kind of dreaming about him, but you don't know who that is until all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's the guy with the white hair. It's Bilal. Oh, Bilal's dead.
Guy, right? He's like a sidekick in Star Trek.
He's like the lead, yeah. He's like that guy you see on the bridge, and you're like, oh, that guy's gonna die. I've never seen him in the cast before.
I've never seen that guy before,
and you never will again.
If I'm the actor playing Bilal, I am ticked off about my screen time.
So, yeah, he's here and he's gone.
Yeah,
and Bilal, we never knew you. I mean, it's just kind of like we really didn't know much about you, and I just kind of wonder, was he one of the Forsaken that just really didn't matter?
He's here and gone so fast.
I wanted more of that sword battle.
He's like, ha ha!
Right, exactly. That was
All right,
that was it for me.
Where are we headed? Where do we think the next book is gonna take us?
Balsamon at the beginning.
Yes, we will. One thing's for sure: we'll start with Balsamon in the prologue. Except we didn't start with him in this prologue.
No,
either.
we did not.
Can I say my honest opinion? We find out that the Aiel are the true believers. It seems like
they're the children of the Age of Aquarius.
They mentioned this finalizing point that you have to go to. That was with
Ruyadin,
old wise woman that had to dream.
Ruyadin.
They seem like they can dream like Egwene. They have to go to this place and then what is it? Riordan?
Ruyadin.
Ruyadin? I feel like that's going to be involved with it.
Roydion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
you get different pronunciations.
I feel like Matt is going to be lucky in the next one as well. Until it runs out.
You took a gamble saying that, Adam. Wah, wah.
That's right. I feel comfortable saying this. Matt's going to be lucky in the next one.
Rand is going to use the power.
Perrin's going to be maudlin.
Shut up. Perrin's going to talk to some wolves and be reluctant about it. And then he's going to talk to Faile, and they're going to be really annoying.
You've really gone out on a ledge with these projections, Adam. I think we got introduced at the end to this Bearlane person. Maybe we'll see more of her.
I mean, maybe.
We still don't know
she just
what's
seems
going
like
on
a messenger girl for Lanfear.
We still don't know what's going on with Tom Marilyn. They mentioned Bearlane a couple times before that. So Perrin and Faile are back at the inn with Loyal, with a great moment with Loyal also standing guard. That was an awesome
once again, we
moment.
get another reference of Loyal going, I wish I'd never come out
Those are
of the
great
steading.
moments. But the steading was so safe. And Tom is on the mend.
Yep.
So I'm hoping we're going to find
Tyr.
out more about what's going on with them.
He's in the same city
Yeah. But all our heroes are centrally located.
for the first time in a while.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what's going on with the White Cloaks. What's going on with the White Cloaks?
Because we
and the
got
Two
Pedro and
Rivers.
Niall at the very beginning of this book, and then that's it. We don't get any more.
And what's his face?
And Pod and Fane.
Pod and Fane.
That's a very good
Wormwood.
Poisoning his
about
mind.
what's going
Right.
on with-
So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing that stuff come up.
We're going to get the Aiel, I feel like.
Yeah,
For,
they're there.
They've been
Several hundred of them.
They've been this nightmare on the periphery of this story, and now they're part of it. I mean, they are the children of
They've
the
already
dragon.
accepted Rand, like all of a sudden at the very end. Yeah.
So we're gonna.
They just end up there.
They have
Yeah.
some crazy society, so we're gonna get to experience that. We've gotten so much great Matt in this book, and now it feels like he's ready to just disappear, just head off into the sunset. He's sort of fulfilled his obligation, and
But has that ever worked for
it's-
Matt?
Well, but it's clear
He's a Taviran. He's going nowhere fast.
he has no plans on going back and getting Tom. I hope we don't miss him in the next book. I'm worried we're going
No.
to.
I feel like Matt has been a key figure. In
He's
this
been a cog.
entire-
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then yes, unfortunately, it sure seems like we're going to get more of Perrin and Faile,
Ugh.
who we're going to call Faile now moving forward because
Screw that.
Perrin has said he's going
Yes, he's
to.
accepted that's who she's
I
calling
don't
her.
care about that.
Well,
I agree, but it's just going to
you
be
may not
way
care, but you got to
easier.
probably it seems like you're going to have to be
Seems like
prepared
it.
to talk about
No,
it at least.
I don't agree. I'm not saying I disagree with you calling her Faile.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't agree with her as a character.
Agreed. Oh, and
She
we'll
has been not-
probably
Yeah.
let's see. So
Adam, if nothing else, you should care about her as being your Coplin of the week.
the accepted are going to be heading back to the tower.
She's
Are they?
I would
Coplin
imagine
of the
they
book.
are. I would imagine they're going to head back
Do
to
you
the
think
tower
they're going
with
back
Moiraine.
with Moraine?
Yeah, I would imagine
Yeah.
probably. So we're going to get more of Lan and
Eric, we have to-
Nynaeve.
Well, they're there together in the same
So
location
we
finally.
have that to look forward to also.
It's got to be better than the other
I
two.
also don't look forward to that whatsoever.
Right. I agree. So let's wrap up with our Coplin of the week and who leveled up. So Dave, who was your Coplin of the week?
So my Coplin of the week was Perrin. And that was a difficult thing because I branched away from the past 2 weeks of it being Faile, but she just wasn't in it enough to be annoying. And his transition to all of a sudden being belligerent with Moraine about her, being there on the ground, and all of a sudden he's like, nothing else matters. The entire world can fall apart. He doesn't care so long as Faile is fine. What? Just you need to be slapped across the face with a fish from the docks of Tyr, an old stinky fish. And then he's getting on Hopper's case while they're in the dream world. He becomes so singularly minded, and it's so annoying.
Is it more annoying because we don't like Faile?
Yes, the past 2 weeks, that's why I was saying I had a tough time
Right.
going between these two.
So it's just his love obsession.
It's his love obsession and his fact that he throws everything else in the world
Well, that's what people.
far less important. But we're talking about Forsaken. We're talking about Rand potentially being there.
Right.
He doesn't care about those things.
No, happens all the time.
Ridiculous. Most people aren't in a situation where the world could end.
Yeah, but people do stuff like this for people that they're in love with in situations where they shouldn't act this way. It happens. It happens all the time.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest problems. Emotional challenges
I agree.
for people.
So that's my
I
copy.
agree. And that's why I would say, Dave, that mine is Faile.
Even though all
she's
she does is
unconscious
get
half the
imprisoned, you dislike her that much.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Because
you do.
When Perrin goes to be a blacksmith and he's out there and he's like, I need to get away from this crap. There's too much going on. And then he meets a dude that's in the smithy and he's like, yeah, I need to go do this. Oh, she just shows up while he's in the middle of it and he's like, oh,
He's got hunky
actually
shoulders.
are a blacksmith. Whatever, Faile.
She is annoying.
So annoying.
Yeah.
She's the worst.
Mine is Bilal. You build
he
yourself
wasn't there
up
enough.
as this big BA of a Forsaken, and then you just get
Did
wiped
he?
away.
Did he build himself up? We never heard about him.
Whatever.
So
He hasn't
He's
built
in people's
himself up. I
dreams,
disagree
and
with you.
Moiraine comes bashing open the door and saying, "Bilal is in Tyr." And
I really hope she didn't say it like that.
all roads are leading to
It's not all
Bilal.
to here, it's to Bilal.
And then
Samael.
just poof.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And guess what? Balsamon is the actual bad guy for this. In a shocking turn of events.
I like how he's like floating up in the air. That is such a
in
cool thing.
dark
You see him,
void.
like,
Yeah. All right, so
Entire book.
who leveled up?
Adam, lead us off.
I'll lead us off. I will say Egwene leveled up the most.
Egwene does a lot. I mean, Egwene is in Teleron. She essentially frees the girls, except Matt comes in right at the end.
He steals a reveal.
And then he's all, wait, why aren't you impressed?
Yeah,
because
rightfully
Egwene
so.
did it all.
Because he doesn't know what's going on. All he knows is like he takes the keys from Amiko and opens the door. Amico, I can't figure out how to pronounce her name.
I think you got it.
And opens the door and frees them, and then they're not very grateful. First of all,
he's like, "What?
He did not
He
need to
goes
be
through hell
there.
and high water to get there.
Absolutely, he works really, really hard. He doesn't stop until he gets that taken care
he's
of.
like, no stop
regardless
till
of what his
Brooklyn.
motives are. And then they're just
The
like,
motives
oh
do
my
matter,
gosh.
of course,
Oh, thanks. Okay. Yeah, we're rescued.
We're fine now.
Right. And then they want to wander off.
We're all
without
fine
it.
here.
Right. Yeah. All right. So my who leveled up this week is Rand. We don't get a lot of him from this book, but what he's doing with the One Power and Kalendor there at the end is insane.
So much he does.
I mean, and we don't know. We have no idea. Is he, dare I say, channeling Luz Theron?
Right.
Is he,
Or
is it Kalendor? Is it just his innate ability?
Is it all the above?
How much of his innate ability is actually different from Luz Theron? There's so much going on here in a world where reincarnation is a theme that I'm not ready to start parsing that. I let's just treat Rand as who he is, and he's got Kalendor, and he's doing
amazing things.
Crazy stuff.
Not only that, he gets there by himself.
Yeah.
He journeys all that way. He doesn't get to take a boat.
Right. He's on foot running from things.
Or horses that are dying. People are attacking him. Dark hounds are after him. All by himself.
Yeah.
He leaves and he leaves with the right intentions too, because he doesn't want to endanger people. So he does that too. He goes to solve and figure out what his own destiny is. He's got no Moraine with him the entire time telling him what's going on. He's trying to figure all that himself out. It is his choice. But he scales the tier and then goes in and has these fights.
There's no way I'm doing that. I am not scaling.
He has these fights. He's fighting Bilal. Bilal's a better swordsman, but he must be exhausted. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the kid's been eating for however long.
Yeah, where did he get money?
Who knows? Well,
he
maybe his flute.
Stolen it from Moraine.
His flute, he played for his supper.
He's playing for his dinner.
They didn't indicate that some of the towns that he was in, he did play his flute for some supper at one given point. So yeah, I mean, he goes through a whole ton. So
that is mine. I mean, we get it right at the end, and we haven't had Rand as a level up at all this book, but man,
he's
when it happens, it happens.
It sure does. And I almost picked him, but I'm going with Moraine because she finally gets to kill Forsaken. Yeah. She's tried a couple of times now, and this time she gets him.
Yeah.
And in grand fashion. Because thank goodness she did. Otherwise,
fast.
Rand's screwed.
Bilal is just like, yeah, you can't beat what? Whoa!
Yeah, zip, zing, boom, done. Yeah, so I liked it because, as we all know, I'm a fanboy of Moraine, and it was cool to see her. And not only that, but she's doing something she's not supposed to do.
Twice now she's done it. She's just out there on her own, breaking rules.
For the greater good.
Well, that's also how the worst things in the world happen, is people thinking they're doing it.
We're not in that situation in this book, however.
Well, we don't know yet.
If she doesn't, then Rand is dead and the entire world is dead.
In this particular case, yes. But,
if she doesn't kill the Darkhounds with Balefire, they're all dead.
We've found out that sometimes doing the right thing also has terrible consequences. Because, I mean, Matt and the dagger is the biggest example of it in this book so far.
Where was the right in that?
Well, I don't think they had any choice but to go into...
Oh, you mean going into Shadar Logoth?
Shadar Logoth.
That's all on Matt. That is 100% on Matt.
Absolutely. It's like the manager
Matt
of
was
a
greedy
baseball
and stole
team.
the dagger.
Your players can fail to execute, but the manager is still responsible for putting them in this situation. So yes, absolutely, Matt is responsible for his actions, but Moiraine is still responsible for putting him in the first place. It sure seems like, even though we haven't seen him at all this book, Podden Fane, second to Sheotan and maybe Balsamon now, who's dead, Podden Fane is a tremendous danger to this world.
If not even more so. Yeah.
So that is our episode 26. And like I suspected, it was long. Next week's will also probably be long because we'll be starting a new book. So that's exciting. So join us next week when we launch into The Shadow Rising, book 4. Man, we're plowing through this series and we're looking forward.
4/14ths of the way there.
We're looking forward to you joining us in chapter
3/14ths.
In chapter 27, in episode 27 of the Jack of the Shadows podcast. So until then, rest in the Creator's hand.
Bye.